Welcome to the Best Damn Podcast. This is your host, Jill Lagan, CEO of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. In each episode, we will highlight what makes Boulder City, home of the Hoover Dam, the ideal place to operate your small business, explore world-class tourism attractions, and discover why we are the perfect place to live and unwind. Important information that we'll be sharing today with Mr. Steve Pieri. He is with Immaculate Restoration and Carpet Care is also an additional part of that. So can't wait to visit a little bit more with you, Steve, because I've learned so much just in getting to meet you.
Yeah, very nice to meet you as well.
So tell me a little bit more about what all you do at Immaculate Restoration, because it isn't just the restoration side. It isn't just the emergency side. You do a lot of preventative as well.
Yeah, and first and foremost, we were born as a carpet cleaning company, and then we grew into a restoration business out of necessity from some of our clients and having a need that we wanted to fill. So, yeah, really started out as a carpet cleaning business in Las Vegas in 1998. We started serving the outlying communities like Boulder City as well around that same time, in Henderson. For our residential services, we do quite a bit. We do a lot of stuff. So carpet cleaning, tile and grout cleaning, upholstery cleaning, air duct cleaning is something that's gotten very popular over the last 10 years. We do a lot of air duct cleaning and even turf. So we service the dog runs for a lot of the big hotels on Las Vegas Boulevard. We do them for our residential clients as well. I have my guys out to my house once every couple of weeks to do mine, and it's really nice. So, and on the emergency side, we do fire, water, mold, biohazard, and trauma scene cleaning. If your house has a flood from a supply line break or water that came in from outside, we do that. We don't get a lot of that here in Vegas anymore. But supply lines, very common. Clean water breaks. That's our specialty. If you have a clean water supply line break in your house, we don't have to be destructive. If we get there in a reasonable amount of time, a lot of contractors come in and start cutting walls out.
Right.
If it's a clean water loss, we've got the technology, the training, and the expertise to dry that in place without having to be destructive. Saves about 50% on up in repair costs. So there's really nothing to repair once we're done.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I never really thought about that clean water versus flood water
Correct.
concept. But yeah, I can see that little bit of a relief factor for those homeowners when that's the case.
Absolutely. Drying in place is a really big advantage because we can be in and out of your life, so to speak, in 3 to 4 days versus if we start getting destructive, cutting walls out, removing materials. Now you're talking about a 3-week process typically to get you put back together if the supply chain has what you're looking for and what was removed and able to put that back.
So then as a contractor, do you actually put the drywall back in? Do you do the painting and all of that?
We don't anymore. We did for a while. We don't anymore, but we work with several contractors that we've got great relationships with that are very quick and get out there. So we still help with the process. We're still involved, but we don't do it ourselves. That's subbed out.
Great. But you also, though, help keep that process going because
Absolutely.
You can't finish until that's all that
Correct.
is done.
Yeah.
That is impressive. There's so many aspects to what it is that you do that I hadn't really thought about. So the trauma scene side of things, sadly, unfortunately, we've had that experience in our family or family friend, and so grateful to have an entity that could be contacted for that because you don't think about it. That's not something you go, okay, I'm going to put this magnet on my refrigerator so in case I need it in the future. But that is something that I'm so grateful somebody has the ability to do and handle biohazard type stuff. So thank you for offering such an amazing service. But then thank you also for taking that right down to the residential side as well. And here in Boulder City, with 51% of our population over the age of 55, there is a lot of people who they don't know how to replace a dryer vent, let alone clean out a dryer vent and what the potential hazards could be to that. So I'm so grateful to know that simple things such as the duct cleaning and the dryer vent cleaning and the preventative maintenance that we can do on our homes, besides just carpet care and tile care, and now just learning about even turf care. I never thought about who the heck cleans all the public spaces like that. But oh my gosh, so glad you do that.
We do a lot of the dirty jobs that nobody else wants to do. And you're right on the dryer vent cleaning, and we talked about it a little bit before we started, but something that nobody not very often thinks about.
Yeah.
Hey, I change out the lint, I clean my lint filter, and I should be good. But a lot of that lint gets through, and a lot of that lint builds up in your line, and it could cause fires. And it has caused several fires in the valley over the last couple of years. That's why it's become such an in-your-face kind of thing lately. Like we have a lot of clients that are calling up and asking us to do whole communities, whole complexes, doing all the dryer vents in their property.
So you actually you're not going to have business if you keep doing everybody's dryer vents, because then that apartment complex won't burn down
which
from that.
is fine with us. No, we'd rather not have to do the fires. We tell everybody all the time, we have these services available. Hope you don't need them. We never wish for anybody to have these things, but it happens. It's a part of life. And like you were talking about, especially in elderly communities, it's just part of life. It's going to happen. And having a resource is important. We have so many customers that we've dealt with throughout the years that have no idea where to start. And there's actually insurance coverage a lot of times. If somebody passes away in the home, or there's an accident in the home or something like that, a lot of times these are coverable events, and sometimes people just don't know where to turn, and we could help with that process and walk you through the insurance process.
That is great.
Yeah.
I'm sure insurance companies are very appreciative that they also have a resource to turn to too.
Yeah, and we do a lot of work with insurance carriers, and we really try to help people not have to put in a claim. If we can prevent you from having to put in a claim by it just really depends on what happened and what the costs are and what your personal situation is. We try to help avoid the claim, because you only get so many of those before you're uninsurable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Those deductibles start really going up.
They do.
So in your line of work, and however it is that you got started in this line of work, maybe tell us a little bit about that. But have you had an aha moment? Has there been something that you just, man, I'm so glad I do this?
Yeah, I think just being able to help people. We had a 100-year flood in Las Vegas. I think it was 92 or something like that. And our crews were out working, and we were going down. We were up in the North Las Vegas area at the time. Got hit really hard, and I think Regional Flood Control hadn't gotten up there and done a lot of work at that time, or maybe they had, but this was just a bad flood. But there's a lot of neighborhoods that were really impacted. We were driving down the street, and I saw every company you could think of, the green guys, the yellow guys, some of our local competitors. And we work with a lot of restoration companies because we have so much extraction power. So these are all people that we've worked with and helped them with extractions, a lot of strategic partnerships. And we came across a house, and we were asking these ladies if they needed help, but they didn't have insurance. And I recognized their accents. I'm from upstate New York. We started talking. They happen to be from Rochester. I'm from Buffalo. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't have insurance? They didn't have coverage because they weren't in a flood zone, and that wasn't normal. And I said, well, we're going to get you through this. We're going to help out. And that was like one of the first big charitable restoration jobs I had done. But I think just the feeling from being able to help them and them being completely at a loss, watching these three, I think they were all, I don't want to say elderly and then say a number, someone get mad at me, but they were all elderly women. Like, it's just watching your grandparents out there trying to pull soaking wet couches out of a house. And the front of their house actually got blown inside. The water had hit it so hard.
Oh, man.
So they were very leery, which I think older people definitely leery of anybody saying, hey, don't worry, you're not going to charge you for this. So we drew up a quick contract, and we let them know by no means were we going to charge them for anything. And they didn't have to worry about that. We got them through it and handled them. And that kind of just lit a fire for our voluntary work. And so now we'll, as often as we can, we go around the country to different disasters. We went to Hurricane Henry out in Texas, Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. Then the last big one we went to was the floods just this last August out in Texas. We went out there and volunteered out there. But it just feels great to give back. When you're able to give back to the community, it just is, that was our aha moment. Just being able to help those people and see what it did for them, and being able to do that for others.
I can imagine. How neat.
Yeah.
What a neat feeling. So I would imagine you've also learned a lot over the years, right? So maybe do you have maybe a professional funny experience? I know we talked a little bit about a couple things, and actually you educated me as we were talking about a potential funny moment in your professional history. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about learning about the dyeing process and the history of that.
I was going to say another one, but we'll go back to the dyeing process.
I have to hear this. I'm sorry. It's great.
I think the first time, so I started out in college. My cousin, who's now my business partner, had a smaller carpet cleaning business servicing a very niche part of the community. And I was able to jump in and do work for him between classes and then go to class. So it worked out. But I'm going to go to the dyeing story. But this first one I think is a little funnier. So I had never really ran the carpet scrubber by myself. It was my first day on my own. And I didn't bend it down. I kind of had it standing up, but I didn't wet the carpet first. So it was a brush on a dry carpet.
Oh.
And so I turned the scrubber on, and it threw me across the room, and the scrubber went through a wall and put a big hole in the wall. And I was like, okay, so learning experience, definitely set the equipment up the right way and spray the carpet. But the big takeaway from that was I went to maintenance. I was scared because I just damaged the wall. But I went to the maintenance guy and told him what I did. He's like, don't worry about it, kid. I'll fix it. And kind of gave us that whole, hey, listen, we're going to make mistakes.
Right.
How we handle those mistakes as a company is going to set us apart. So owning it right up front, telling somebody what happened, going in there, and and it made it kind of all go away. So Cottage taught us, say, you own your mistakes, work hard to correct them. But the funny one that you're referring to, kind of
we'll
the same
go back
scenario.
to that. Let me add a little bit to that whole scenario.
Yes.
So I can only imagine as you got up from being thrown across the room, you're probably in a total panic, right? And embarrassed,
yes.
But I am so grateful that maintenance guy also, the learning part of that also allowed you to realize that there are people that are just as compassionate and they understand. And I think that's fabulous. So glad that he was part of your lesson.
Yeah.
And also very glad that you kept it up, because that could have been one of those situations where you wouldn't have gotten to where you are today because you I'm out.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Sneak out the door, pretend it didn't happen. Yeah. And somebody finds it and was like, never call them again.
That's awesome. Okay, now we got to go back. I need to understand more about this. I never even knew people dyed carpet.
So this was early on in our career, 1998, I think. So we've been in business for 28 years. So 1998, we had a lot of those old color patterns still. So people had mauve carpet, teal carpet, blue carpet, green carpet. The palettes were a little different than today. Strong colors.
Yeah.
And those colors would fade. In the apartment communities, it was more cost effective to dye the carpet. So dyeing the carpet reintroduced the color and kind of gave a more consistent look for worn carpet. It kind of just freshened up. I call it brand used. But anyway, that was really common back then. It's not done so much anymore because the cost of goods has gone down so much that a lot of people aren't dyeing. Where we're dyeing now is if you're cleaning the house and you spill some bleach, or your washing machine's in front of your carpeted hallway and you spill bleach, we could go in and reintroduce that color and do a spot dye as opposed to replacing that whole carpet. But the scenario that you're talking about is there was a move-in the next day. It was an emergency move-in. We were behind on our schedule because we were still running the truck. My partner and I were still running the truck back then. And the manager insisted that we shot a dye. There was no power in the unit. It was late at night. We brought in portable lights, trying to light it up, but you just don't have the right amount of light to shoot a dye. It's like a hairdresser trying to dye your hair in the dark, right? It's like, good luck. So it was a mauve carpet. And when we went there the next day, we kind of candy striped it. It looked like a candy cane. It was just like stripes throughout. It wasn't even, we were able to fix it right away once we had proper lighting. But yeah, that was a bit of a nightmare. So doing things that you know you shouldn't do, and the ability to say no, and hey, we should have just said no and just insisted on doing that in the morning anyway, which is what we ended up having to do. But
stick to your guns.
Stick to your guns.
Then you end up doing double the work.
That's right. That's right.
Right? That is crazy. And like I said, I had zero clue that people even dyed carpet, but I guess, like you said, the traffic pattern or whatever. So after you dye carpet, does it get on your feet?
No, it locks in, just like your car dye. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, we rinse it out. You rinse out the dye. There's a product that you put on to set the dye in place. But yeah, no, it shouldn't come off on your feet.
That is crazy. I had no idea.
Now, a lot of today's products, too, are a blend of different materials. So they actually use plastic. There's olefin carpet is made. It's almost all plastic, right? So you can't get water into it. So you can't dye it. Yeah, it's made out of like old PVC pipe and like
I'm glad
material.
There's a recycled factor there, but that's
hard to clean, tough to clean. Don't put it in your house.
Interesting. Yeah, I will pay attention.
It wears very badly.
Yeah, I do have hardwood, like you had talked about, but on except for my stairs, and I do need to replace those stairs because I have had them cleaned multiple times and they just look like garbage. So it's time to replace, but not with a plastic grade recycled carpet.
Right, correct.
Okay, good to know. I'll spend a little bit more.
Yeah,
not that I ever plan on dyeing it.
Nylon carpet's good stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. So I want to know a little bit more about you and who makes up the ownership of this great company. So Steve, what was your first job?
My very first job, I think I would probably say was either Mr. Beepers or, my first job was probably filing at a doctor's office, but Mr. Beepers is what I kind of consider my first job.
Mr. Beepers.
Because I was out on my own. I don't know if you remember them. They were on Maryland Parkway, like way back in the day.
I remember their commercials.
They were great. A lot of people get them confused with J&J Beepers, but it was Mr. Beepers was different, and I started out as a runner there. Kind of made me realize I didn't like being stuck in an office. I kind of liked being out and about every day, not sitting at a desk. They kind of moved me into a sales position. And then those ladies actually, when they closed Mr. Beepers, they bought a radio station. I became an ad executive for them like at 19. I was out selling ad specs for radio, which was kind of cool.
Huh, I never knew that was the transition for the Mr. Beepers.
Yeah, they went to K-Jewel Radio.
Oh, that's awesome.
K-Jewel, and they've now sold out of it, and the K-Jewel's changed its format a little bit, but yeah.
Right, yeah. So I used to work for a Motorola radio company over on Industrial, and they did some work with Mr. Beepers.
Bearcom?
It was, yeah.
Was
way
it
back,
no
way
way.
back
that
when.
That is so funny. Did
Isn't
you know
that crazy?
Tennille Chena?
I don't remember
Actually,
that
would have
name.
been her maiden name back then. I don't know her maiden name, but yeah. My good friends of mine, she was at Bearcom forever.
That is awesome.
Yeah, small world.
So
we're customers, by the way, of Bearcom.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Divine Carpet Cleaning was our first name, and then we grew into Immaculate. But yeah, we used all the two-way radios and all that stuff to communicate to our team.
Divine. Interesting. And where did you come up with that name?
Actually, my partner came up with that name, and our slogan back then was "We worship the ground you walk on." It was,
well, that's awesome.
It was really catchy and taggy. And then as we grew into restoration, we kind of transitioned into Immaculate.
And it absolutely makes sense. I'm loving it. Okay, so Steve, what's something that somebody doesn't know about you, or that not many people know about you?
I think
I heard that you enjoy
drying buildings. Yeah, I figured that's where we were going with it. But yeah, my passion for drying buildings is kind of odd. Like I really kind of geek out on the process. So
really,
yeah, and it's more to that in-place drying, like we were talking about for clean water losses. I love showing people how it works and how it can work. And there's so many people just don't understand what it is that we're doing. But we put a bunch of fans in the room. We use heated drying equipment instead of blowing cold air. We blow warm air on walls. Hot air dries faster. When drying your hair, you put your clothes in the dry roll using hot air, right? So the hot air dries faster. All we're doing with the fans is creating evaporation. We're putting that moisture into the air, and then we use low-grain refrigerant dehumidifiers to pull that out of the air.
That makes
sense.
So
we could literally show you the water jumping out of the walls and going down the drain.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so then your skill set and something you like to do more as a passion project is actually translated into important use in the restoration side of things.
Yeah, we thought we were going to do a lot more drying when we ran out to these hurricanes, and a lot of the hurricanes end up being full demo. When I went to North Carolina, the community that I was working in for the few weeks that I was out there, those houses were actually up to the roof line underwater.
Oh my gosh.
So the photos and the story and the journey of what those people went through it's crazy. You hear how they were fighting for their lives. Like they were escaping, like people were getting trapped in their attics. There's people that didn't make it out. So being out there and kind of hearing all that and seeing it and being able to help is just, that's awesome. So yeah, kind of all.
Your staff must have to also have, I mean, that's got to be emotionally draining for you and staff. How do you keep them motivated and charged?
It definitely is, especially on the trauma side. So on the trauma side, there's things that, we see and deal with that sometimes people, they need to talk. So we have outlets available. Obviously, my door's always open to come in and sit and talk. And they've all done this for a while now, so we're pretty good at it. And they're pretty empathetic. When they go out, they respond very well with the families. And we always get great letters back of your team was amazing. And we love that and appreciate that. So we share that with them. But there are times where somebody saw something or dealt with something that doesn't sit well with them. And so we have counseling available.
That's great.
So only a couple people have taken up on it. These guys are proud guys, but sometimes you need to talk about this stuff.
Absolutely.
You kind of got to let it out. There's times where I'll be telling a story to somebody and they're just looking at me like, whoa, like how do you deal with this? And I'm not even realizing like how traumatic some of it sounds, but.
Yeah, I'm a cop's wife. I hear stuff all the time.
Absolutely.
But also very grateful to know that there's somebody out there. And I did wonder, I'm guessing your guys got to have some compassion that can kind of listen.
Well, as a first responder's wife, so we're second responders. So you guys are in first, but we're coming in right behind, very often right behind the fire department, right behind the police department, and dealing with the aftermath and the tragedies that might have happened. And even if it's not a tragedy, a flood in your house, for us, we see it every day, right? But if you've never gone through that, it's devastating.
Absolutely.
It is a huge
fire?
deal. Yes.
I mean, that sounds so scary to me.
Fire is really, really emotional. When people go through fires, it's such an emotional thing because you're losing so much. If all your belongings are gone.
Yeah,
you see
complete invasion.
Yeah.
I'm just glad to know that you offer counseling or those types of services. So one of my favorite questions to ask is, what book are you reading?
Currently, I need to read a book. I've been doing a lot of time online and surfing, but the last book I read was probably Chris Kyle's book.
American Sniper.
American Sniper, yeah. I like military. I like history. I like to read. I like biographies. I like a lot of that stuff.
There's that educational component / decompression component because you're in somebody else's world / entertainment. I mean, it's just well-rounded.
Yeah, that was a really good book.
It was. My husband and I listened to it on a road trip, so I was listening to it being narrated, and man. And then I also was reading different sections, and I had to stop multiple times. That one's intense.
Yeah, it is.
Very, very grateful for his service and grateful for the men and women who are dedicated to that line of work. But, oh, man, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
So I would imagine you have pretty amazing a mom and a dad that have taught you something that you still carry into your life today.
I hear my mom's voice in my head all the time. Not to take anything away from my dad, different lessons, good ones, really good ones. My dad was like one of those, just like a tougher guy, to build a little gritty. But I hear my mom's voice in my head every single day when I'm doing small tasks, even things at work. And these are things that I've actually taught to my team as well. And just silly little life lessons, like clean as you go. If you're cleaning it, like some people will cook and clean in the kitchen, like my teenagers, for instance, like when they first started, I could come downstairs and figure out everything they had for breakfast, every utensil they used, which pan they used, right? So cleaning as you go, and then touching things once. If you're touching it, put it where it belongs, take it back instead of multiple trips, things like that.
That efficiency factor.
Very, very proud moment for me is when I went to visit my son at college. He's a freshman up in Idaho, and I watched him finish his meal, take his dish, immediately wash it, cleaned it, and put it away. I'm like, you don't use the dishwasher? He's like, no, Dad, too many steps. He goes, want to touch it once, put it away, clean it, it's done.
Oh my gosh.
Love that. Proud moment. So he listened at some point.
That's amazing. At some point in time, our kids actually start to get it.
They do.
And then we stop being stupid and we're smart again.
That's right.
That teenage time, it's just amazing how dumb we are. But then all of a sudden, whoa, we're like smart again. I love it.
And they wake up one day and they're like, man, Mom and Dad were right. Like, I get it now.
Yeah, that is amazing. I am so grateful to have Immaculate Restoration and Carpet Care as a member of the Chamber. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. We're glad to have your service so that we can recommend you, and not only on the restoration side of things, but also on the maintenance side. And so thank you so much for being a part of this community and for being such a great asset.
Thank you. And we'd love to learn more about your community and what your needs are as well. We were talking about maybe even sponsoring a day to where we have a crew that comes out here, like a day of the month or something where multiple people could schedule and do a bunch of carpet cleaning or air duct cleaning or something like that.
Absolutely.
So we're really excited to get involved with Boulder City more and learn more about what needs your community has that we can help fill.
I really appreciate that because I've got a dryer in a basement, a dryer upstairs, and I need them both checked.
You know what? We've actually volunteered with, I don't know if this is considered Boulder City. We used to do work for St. Jude's Ranch.
Oh, yeah. They're right across the street.
Yeah. Great.
We're glad. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, love them.
That's such a great organization.
It is.
I truly appreciate you. There's going to be more information in the show notes so people will be able to find you and find out a little bit more about like your Channel 8 segment. So I'm excited that we'll be able to feature that. And again, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having us. We appreciate you allowing us into the community.
This episode of the Best Damn Podcast has been a production of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. Please check out all the links and social media handles on our website as well at bouldercitychamber.com. You can find the Best Damn Podcast on all your favorite podcast directories. Like us and share on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, discover, explore, and unwind in Boulder City.